Daeron Targaryen. He's a claimant to the throne. You're going to have to kill him.
I see you have been merciful.
My purpose is to restore the rightful line to the Iron Throne.
I dispute that I must become what I am not.
The throne remembers its true blood, and I am coming home for it.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO looks like it released a new House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer, but it seems like there's some footage here from other future episodes beyond Episode 3, so I'll try to distinguish between what seems like Episode 3 stuff and what seems like other future episodes. Also seems like we're going to start getting a lot of Rhaenyra and Alicent scenes too, so brace for the fireworks. At the beginning of the trailer, Rhaenyra looks like she goes to see the small folk and assure them that she's going to be a better ruler. This is like day one of her sitting on the Iron Throne, acting as queen of the realm in a traditional sense. But as you saw at the end of episode 2, when she flew in with all the dragon seeds, everybody freaked out. The small folk did not have a great vibe. Things looked very, very bad. Like they viewed her more as a conqueror, this terrible force coming in. And the ominous music that they used when she flew into the city with the dragon seeds and they were flying over the small folk and they were all yelling and screaming and running around, it felt kind of like Daenerys when she was about to burn King's Landing during the original Game of Thrones series, which is very, very bad. Not a great way to start off your rulership over the Seven Kingdoms. So it seems like a lot of Episode 3 is dedicated to showing you the uphill battle that Rhaenyra is going to fight across the rest of the season as she tries to be a normal queen. Like it's not going to be as simple as her flying in, sitting on the Iron Throne, and all the problems are solved. We get a scene of Daemon riding in his armor, and it seems like they're at Tumbleton here, and they meet Ormund Hightower with what seems like the fake version of Daeron Targaryen. I think we all believe that the Daeron that we saw earlier in the season with the different colored hair, not white colored hair, is the real Daeron. And whatever's going on with this silver white-haired Daeron, this is just Ormund Hightower trying to deceive the blacks into thinking that they have the real Daeron because he wants to keep his dragon rider. It kind of seems like the show is setting up Ormund Hightower and the Hightower army to be like the major threat to Rhaenyra in terms of the Green's major force. Now that we're seeing Criston Cole, the Lannister army in the decline, they got rid of most of the Lannister army in the first 2 episodes. Criston Cole also seems like he is not doing that hot. He is not long for this world. Most of his scenes seem like they're from Butcher's Ball, which will probably be from a future episode, so we don't need to talk too much about that just because it's a couple weeks ahead of what we're probably doing this week. You also notice in this scene with Daemon, you have Caraxes behind him, obviously, because Caraxes is taking him everywhere, but it also seems like Silverwing and Ulf White is with him here, too. So it seems like they're just continuing the idea that we might see some scenes of him slapping around Ulf White and him becoming more dissatisfied with the blacks in general, because we also saw other footage with all the dragon scenes lined up in the Red Keep after they'd taken the Iron Throne, and they're probably going to be knighted. Maybe there'll be a big twist with that scene, too, that just causes the dragon seeds to like Rhaenyra and Daemon less and less. For the most part with the dragon seeds this season, I think they're adhering relatively closely with a few exceptions to their book plot. They've changed a couple things about the dragon seeds, but like the major plot points, I think will be the same as the books. So a really big part of that is creating a wedge between some of the dragon seeds and Rhaenyra. My assumption is this scene of Daemon telling Rhaenyra that she needs to kill Daeron Targaryen because he's another claimant on the Iron Throne, Alicent's youngest child, is probably happening pretty early in the episode. And it's another example of how tensions between Rhaenyra and Alicent are getting worse because she agreed to let Rhaenyra kill her son Aegon, and even though they didn't directly address it during season 2, this also meant permission to also kill Aemond. Like, Alicent assumed that Rhaenyra would have to kill Aemond at some point, and she even kind of thinks that Aemond is a monster anyway, so she's probably not that hot on keeping him alive. Like, you know what, if he has to die in order to end this war, that'll be fine with me. Alicent is not going to win any mother awards this season. She's kind of like the Catelyn Stark of House of the Dragon in that she's a terrible mother. Now seeing this scene of the skull burning in the fireplace, I think that we can agree this is probably Otto Hightower's skull, and Alicent, still pissed off that Rhaenyra killed her father, but kind of understands why it had to happen, but it still just makes things worse between the two of them, like tensions just continue to rise inside the Red Keep between her and Rhaenyra. And if we're talking about the relationship between Rhaenyra and Alicent, it seems like Rhaenyra desperately craves Alicent's approval for what she's doing as queen. Like Rhaenyra wants Alicent to tell her that she is an amazing queen and that they are great friends and the realm is so much better off with her on the Iron Throne.
I dispute that I must become what I am not.
Time will tell.
We get a couple scenes of them talking what might be Alicent's chambers because technically she and Helaena now will be prisoners according to Rhaenyra. Prisoners in the very light sense in that they're only confined to chambers and a couple other places, but they can't really do much inside the Red Keep. This is also probably why Helaena is so distraught and so sad, but this is her inside the Godswood, it seems like. We get a new scene of Daemon, Rhaenyra, and Luther Largent. Remember, he was the leader of the Gold Cloaks that saved their lives recently, who's probably going to be named a lord because of what happened here. And they're either walking to the small council chambers or they're walking to the Iron Throne Room. She's not wearing her crown, though, is why I say they might not be going to the Iron Throne Room. But remember, this is day one of her being queen of the realm, so it's just her finding about all the different things that she has to deal with on day one, all the mountain of problems that the Greens left her with. We get a new scene of Ormund Hightower and the Greens taking Tumbleton. This is bold John Roxton here, sort of leading their forces. He's like his second in command. And I think the idea is that Ormund Hightower believes that he's using the city as sort of protection because it's Rhaenyra's subjects, so Rhaenyra can't kill the Greens in Tumbleton without also killing a lot of regular people in collateral damage, making the realm hate her even more than they already do. So it kind of seems between this and his fake Daeron tactic, they're trying to make Ormund seem like he's a pretty clever person. Like it's going to be much harder for Rhaenyra to get rid of this force of Greens than it was with Criston Cole and the Lannisters' army. And you remember there were like 15,000 Hightower troops with them here, so it was a very, very large force. You also remember Hugh Hammer's wife wanted to go to Tumbleton, so if the Greens take Tumbleton and hole up there and Rhaenyra wants to get rid of the Greens, if Rhaenyra attacks Tumbleton and kills a bunch of people there in collateral damage, it might cause Hugh Hammer to start hating Rhaenyra too. And remember, he has Vermithor, and it's another massive dragon, next biggest dragon in the realm after Vhagar, that you don't want Rhaenyra to also have to fight. We get that line from Ormund Hightower saying he wants to restore the rightful line to the Iron Throne. He's talking about the Greens, the Hightower side of this. But remember how surprised he was and bemused that Aemond had become king? Like, well, you know what, it doesn't really matter who's on the Iron Throne. I think, personally, Ormund Hightower, if he's controlling Daeron, like if Daeron is his lackey, he would rather put Daeron on the Iron Throne. Put a Hightower on the throne that he can control.
One king is as good as another.
We get a couple scenes of Rhaenyra burning all the Greens things, their banners, Aegon's banners inside the Red Keep. That just seems like a standard thing that she'd be doing now that she'd been inside the Red Keep for a day or two. Remember during season 1, after the time jump, when Daemon and Rhaenyra came back to the Red Keep and were horrified to see that Alicent had redecorated the Red Keep and had taken down a lot of the historical Targaryen Valyrian stuff and put up a lot of Faith of the Seven stuff to replace it. So now that Daemon and Rhaenyra have moved back into their house, as they called it, who stands against us in our house, they're redecorating again. Very long term down the road when Robert Baratheon eventually becomes king during the main Game of Thrones series, or just before the main Game of Thrones series, he also redecorates the Red Keep just a little bit. Move all the dragon skulls down into storage. We get a new line from Aemond inside Harrenhal. He's shirtless practicing with his sword in that room with the weirwood bed that Daemon probably slept into. Alys Rivers probably put him there on purpose. Sleep in this bed, have a lot of crazy dreams. Don't worry about what I'm going to be doing here. Also talking about how he is the rightful king and he'll be returning to the Iron Throne eventually. We will see what Alys Rivers has to say about that. I already talked about this during my episode 2 video, but based on her conversation with Daemon about her not having a claim herself, a famous name, or a husband with a famous name or a claim to Harrenhal, she wouldn't be able to get it or wouldn't have a chance of getting it, so she might be using Aemond as a backdoor way to get Harrenhal. Then a lot of the montage scenes where we see different people fighting in different places all seem like they are from later episodes, not episode 3, so I'm assuming that we're going to see this in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be hitting the middle of the season very soon, but like the first battle of Tumbleton from the books isn't supposed to happen till like episode 7. That's like the real big battle of the season next to the Battle of the Gullet and the stuff that we saw in episode 1 and episode 2. But maybe we'll see some smaller battle before that, like Butcher's Ball might happen before that. Generally, it seems like based on the episode 3 footage we've seen so far in the trailers, the writers are trying to provide a more complex picture for Rhaenyra's downfall and all the different things that are working against her, trying to conspire against her, a number of people conspiring against her, and a number of other unfortunate circumstances working against her, so that it almost feels like it's impossible for her to be the good queen that she wants to be. Like, she actually does want to do a good job of ruling the realm, and she probably would do a good job if it weren't for all these other things going to hell around her.
All eyes look to me now. I must justify my father's faith in me.
There are a lot of people that talked to James Norton, who's playing Ormund Hightower this season, who said that he's a bit of a Ramsay Bolton, like the original Game of Thrones series, pitted him against Jon Snow and his forces, trying to hold Winterfell against them. So in the same way that Ramsay Bolton tried to use a number of different things to work against Jon Snow to conspire against him, they'll do the same thing with Ormund Hightower's character, trying to use all these different circumstances to bring about Rhaenyra's downfall. But the difference with Ormund Hightower is that he's not completely crazy in the way that Ramsay Bolton was. Like, he's not that over the top, although I'm sure we'll see some crazy moments from him later this season. House the Dragon is trying to set him up as like the big threat heading into season 4. We'll see if he survives season 3. I think they're trying to make him seem like such a big deal this season. I would be surprised if he does not survive till season 4. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the new footage that I didn't talk about in the video. My full episode 3 video will post Sunday night after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And if you have any special requests for bonus videos or questions about what's happening in the episodes you want me to do videos about, just let me know in the comments. Everybody click here for that new episode. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other House the Dragon episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.